They say risk is the price of ambition. But in the ancient world, risk wasn't a number on a spreadsheet. It was a storm on the horizon, a river that rose without warning. A merchant watching his life's fortune drift down a current he could not control. Long before Wall Street, before maritime law, before global trade, there was a kingdom built on water, a kingdom that discovered a truth the rest of humanity would take thousands of years to understand. Trade cannot survive without protection. And in a world ruled by rivers, protection took the form of the world's first shipping insurance. To uncover the origin of this idea, we journey back nearly 4,000 years to the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates. Here, in the fertile heart of Mesopotamia, rose the kingdom of Babylon, an empire whose temples touched the heavens and whose rivers fed the world's first cities. Babylon was not merely a city-state. It was a marketplace, a legal laboratory, and a civilization obsessed with order. And it was here, under the rule of Hammurabi, that humanity's earliest experiment in risk management took shape. The rivers of Mesopotamia were both a blessing and a threat. They nourished crops, powered trade, and connected distant settlements. But they also destroyed, flooded, swallowed boats, and erased fortunes overnight. Merchants faced dangers at every bend: bandits, storms, broken hulls, and shifting currents that could turn a thriving business into sudden ruin. If Babylon wanted to dominate regional trade, it needed a solution. Something predictable, something fair, something that made risk manageable. This solution emerged in the most unexpected place: a stone tablet. Carved into the basalt steel that recorded Hammurabi's code was a clause that seemed simple at first glance, but would become one of the most important financial inventions in history. It declared that if a merchant borrowed money to finance a shipment and the cargo was lost at sea, the debt would be canceled. The lender carried the risk. The borrower carried the mission. Together, both shared a trust that transformed trade forever. This was the world's first shipping insurance contract. The logic was revolutionary. Instead of punishing the merchant for misfortune, the system recognized the inherent danger of river trade. If the cargo sank, the merchant did not owe the loan. If it arrived safely, the lender earned interest that compensated for the possibility of loss. It was a shared risk partnership, a precursor to the bottomry contracts of ancient Greece and Rome, and a distant ancestor of every modern marine insurance policy on Earth. But Babylon didn't stop at the idea. It built an entire ecosystem around it. Rivers became regulated arteries of commerce. Officials monitored water levels, controlled trade routes, and standardized fees. Merchants logged their goods in clay tablets kept in temple archives, creating one of the earliest forms of documented cargo registries. Caravan leaders and boatmen swore oaths before priests, binding themselves legally and spiritually to protect shipments entrusted to them. The empire may have been ancient, but its economic structure was astonishingly modern. Insurance in Babylon became more than a financial tool. It was a stabilizer. It allowed merchants to expand routes, increase cargo quantities, and collaborate with foreign traders who once feared the risks of river transport. It transformed uncertainty into opportunity, and in doing so, lifted the economy of an entire kingdom. Yet the idea did not remain confined to Mesopotamia. When the Assyrians expanded their empire, they absorbed Babylonian commercial laws along with its cities. Shipping insurance traveled with them across new routes that stretched into the Levant and Anatolia. Centuries later, Phoenician merchants, masters of Mediterranean trade, adopted similar risk-sharing agreements for ocean voyages. By the time Greek city-states rose to power, marine loans had been refined into complex bottomry contracts, written in parchment and enforced through courts. Rome inherited the system and formalized it into legal doctrine. The seed planted in Babylon had grown into the financial backbone of ancient trade. As civilizations advanced, shipping insurance followed their ships. Medieval Islamic merchants used partnership contracts like Kirad and Mudaraba, echoing Babylon's shared risk principles. Venetian traders, in their quest for Mediterranean dominance, introduced structured marine insurance policies during the Renaissance. London's portside coffee houses in the 17th century transformed these ideas into formal insurers, one of which would become Lloyd's of London, the most famous insurance institution in history. But beneath each evolution lay the same ancient truth. Risk is inevitable, but ruin doesn't have to be. In the modern world, shipping is the silent architecture of globalization. 90% of world trade moves by sea. Trillions of dollars of cargo travel across oceans each year, protected by layers of insurance that trace their ancestry back to a river kingdom carved out of clay and water. The container ships crossing the Indian Ocean today follow the same economic logic as the wooden boats drifting down Mesopotamian currents thousands of years ago. Yet the story of shipping insurance is more than a timeline. It is a story about humanity's deepest fear and greatest innovation. Because when Babylon invented shipping insurance, it wasn't just protecting boats. It was protecting hope. It was protecting ambition. It was protecting the belief that progress should not be held hostage by uncertainty. And this raises a modern question. If ancient Babylon could create safety for its merchants, how do we create safety today in a world where global risks, climate change, piracy, political instability, grow more unpredictable? The answer may still lie in the lesson of the rivers. Risk can never be eliminated. But with foresight, cooperation, and shared responsibility, it can be transformed. Trade survives when people are allowed to try and fail without losing everything. Babylon understood that. The world simply followed.